Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. Now, after seeing the announcement that ESPN let Shannon Sharp go, I started looking at the landscape of ESPN and just sports debate in general. Now, sports debate has deteriorated over the last couple of years, I want to say, ever since Shannon left. First take with Skip, both parties have been or both networks, ESPN and Fox Sports, have been on a downside. And we know Fox Sports let a lot of people go recently. ESPN let Shannon Sharp go, and he was a major part of that show. Stephen A's voice, I believe, has become stale and it's become redundant. So I'm not feeling the same love that I had for sports debate that I had over the last 5 years or so. And it's been a lot different. But thinking about the moves that needs to be made to bring that kind of that energy back, it it's a simple one for me. I believe Skip left ESPN on good terms, and I don't think it was tumultuous relationship. I think he just left for the money. But I think Skip Bayless back to first take makes the most sense. Now that might not be possible because I think Stephen A. know he would have to go back to a B mic because Skip commands that kind of respect and that kind of he has that kind of tenure that I don't think Stephen A. would want to do that anymore because he's already been the B mic to Skip Bayless. And at this point, he's kind of power hungry and kind of egotistical at this point, which Skip is as well. So it'll be a clash of heads. So stylistically, I don't think it would make sense. But for ratings and for the numbers, it makes a lot of sense because Skip is the biggest draw next to a Stephen A. Smith or a Shannon Sharp. And he's controversial more than Shannon Sharp is. So I think he would bring that type of enlightenment. And Skip, Stephen A. Smith has had this beef with LeBron, so it would make even more sense. So it'd be like a double LeBron's hate fest that they would have. So it makes a lot of sense for the ratings. And if they're able to get alongside their egos, it'll work out. But I think Skip is happy in what he's doing now with his own platform on YouTube and getting his own sponsorships and things like that. But he's never been as big as he was on ESPN or Fox Sports. Now I know he probably wouldn't go back to Fox Sports because it felt like a tumultuous relationship when they left. But I think he would go back to ESPN for the right amount of money. Now, if Stephen A. Smith is making 20, what will a Skip Bayless command? And they can't afford to pay both guys because they barely wanted to pay Stephen A. the money, and he had to go through a lot to get that money. But Skip is going to command, $10+ million, and then they would have to lose more people on the show. But to see a reunion of Skip and Stephen A. Smith would be worth getting rid of all those ancillary pieces, whether you have to move them to different shows or different networks. That would even be better if you move them to Fox Sports and then be able to rebuild Fox Sports with those other pieces like a Ryan Clark or something like that. Now, I think Ryan Clark should stay on ESPN because he's one of the most vital pieces that they have. He brings the headlines and the topics and the eyes and brings the hate and all those things that you need to generate these numbers. So I think Ryan Clark is needed, but the other pieces you can definitely move them around and they can be useful on a Fox Sports. Because ESPN won't be able to live off just petty beefs that Cam Newton is creating, and with these random athletes and things like that. So they're going to have to figure it out, uh, especially since they lost Max Kellerman, and then they lost pieces like Will Kane, which Stephen A. Smith has been accused of pushing those guys off the show with his power. So there's a lot of different things on First Take that a lot of people don't like. There's a lot of politics involved. It's not really about sports as much as it used to be. It's a lot of the same old, with the Mad Dog theme and all that stuff. So, but Stephen A. Smith would have to take a co-seat to Skip if he came back. But it does make sense in the terms of dollars and cents and getting that viewership and trying to keep afloat, even though they have a huge gap in between what Fox Sports is doing. Fox Sports only really has First Things First, which I can't watch anymore because I don't like Nick Wright's voice. It's very irritating and very squeaky type. Um, but I was a fan of I like the facility show that they had, and I like the speak shows to some degree. But unfortunately, those shows were canceled. So there's not much competition for ESPN. So they could get complacent, similar to, anything. If there's not competition, you get complacent because where are other people going to go? You can go to other, athletes' podcasts and things like that, but you're not going to get the day to day debate like you get. You're going to get an analysis and things like that, but you're not going to get the primetime lights that ESPN provides because Fox Sports is no longer really an issue for them. And they kind of push them out of the market or push themselves out of the market with just the scandals and things, horrible moves they made of letting Shannon Sharp go, letting Skip go. They thought they can, sustain. They do have Colin Cowherd who has podcasts now and doing other things, but that's pretty much the only thing they have in Fox Sports right now is that show, Colin Cowherd show, which is kind of a radio type show. But nevertheless, he does good work. But I think Skip is the most likely addition to replace Shannon Sharp at First Take, and it will provide a ratings booster at the end. So tell me, what do you think? Your thoughts about who should replace Shannon Sharp at ESPN? Until next time, I'll see you next time.